Hey everybody, the guy Matt here. Welcome back to College Football Picks Week 2. Pick who's going to team in the top 25. I don't know how I did last week, forgot to count, but yeah, Colorado's the big win storyline this week, and let's hop straight into this week's games. Ball State, Georgia wins. Looked a bit flat. I didn't want to hear the game. I'm being honest, just on what I thought. I mean, Georgia won. Georgia's gonna win. Michigan UNLV did see a bit of that. Didn't see Michigan Evo play. If I'm being honest, I was glued to Colorado TCU, as I'm sure almost everybody was. But looked a bit shaky to me. Often McCarthy looked good. But Michigan should cruise easy this week against UNLV. Alright, the big boy hopping straight into it. Texas, Alabama, bluest of bloods meet. Obviously, last year in Austin, great game in my opinion. Texas almost took the upset, which they would have won. Like everyone knows they had won if he was, because he was lining up Alabama secondary like the 4th of July, if he didn't get hurt at the end of the first quarter. But Texas last week, it's like okay against Rice they struggled. Did they look flat because hey Texas overhyped yet again? Oh, was it like oh Sarkisian like hey I'm not gonna show Saban anything on film. I'm just gonna put out all like almost basic plays, not give Saban anything to see on film for Bama to prepare. But Bama, Jalen Milroe looked pretty good last week against Middle Tennessee State, for granted, but still looked pretty good. But Bama is down a couple of DBs. Alright, this is gonna be a great game. And for Sarkisian, just going back to that point last week, Texas. I think it was a mixture of both. I think he was like hiding with his offense. I also think, offensive line roles, Volvi, Xavier Volvi not really have a good game. Either way, this is gonna be a great game. Instant classic. The Spectrum, as you can see, can fuck off for cutting ESPN. I'm on YouTube TV now. I'm gonna catch the game, thankfully. But yeah, makings of a classic like last year in Austin is going on tomorrow. But I can't trust Texas in this scenario. You like until you prove to me I can trust you in spots like this, I can't pick you. That goes for Texas football as a whole. That goes for Quinn Ewers, who, outside of the Red River game last year, has shrunk in big moments. Meanwhile, up here to Saban and Bama, who have only haven't lost at home non-conference since 2007, 31 game home win streak. Bryant-Denny Stadium, tough venue. Just not really gets much love because Bama is usually so good. But when it's a game like this, it's gonna be loud. I can't trust Texas. I think they're here competitive, but I can't pick them. I think Miller's gonna show some flashes running the ball mainly. I think, Bama is gonna play like some stingy defense, gets like and just make a stop when they have to. Saban will win. Give me Alabama to squeeze past Texas barely. Some this FSU totally didn't have LSU in my national title game. FSU totally don't make me look like I had LSU winning it. I think, yeah, I did. And FSU made me look like a fucking moron. So thanks to that. I was high on the Knowles as well. I just saw him losing to LSU and swing of Clemson, which Clemson, we'll get into that later. Ooh. But yeah, Florida State, Jordan Travis looked amazing, especially in the second half last week. That receiver sees something. I can't think of his name like Coleman. Yeah, Coleman, I think. Michigan State looked amazing. Florida State cruises at the Dolk, easy win. Ohio State, Youngstown State. Buckeyes offense looked very flat last week. I was surprised tuning into that game at 3:30 because Washington blew out Boise. Marvin Harrison was banged up a bit, but still, McCall didn't look that good against Indiana. Indiana's probably the worst second, probably worst, so like I say, top 3 worst in the Big Ten. Buckeyes struggled. But I think they do rebound this week if an easy win. Stanford, USC. Stanford, not the worst team in the Pac-12 at Arizona State, but Williams might come back to school. That is something very interesting to me that he might come back. Or might do like an Eli Manning, John Ray Elway and be like, hey, I'm not going there, aka the Cardinals. But yeah, USC, Stanford's not going to be good. USC should roll again. Delaware and Penn State. Drew Allen looked all the part last week. And Keandre Lambert-Smith, my wide receiver number 1. Penn State should cruise to another easy one versus Delaware here, but do have some concerns about my Penn State and Hill Lions offensive line when I have 2 teams. So Oregon, if you didn't know, O-line looked a bit shaky last week against this Power 5, but best the Franklin Layout. I'm not buying it. That could be a big concern next week against Illinois, but not against Delaware. Penn State wins easily. Tulsa, Washington, Michael Penix, man. They might have the best receiver duo in the nation instead of Ohio State. They are really good. And Penix just had great deep ball. Washington State killed Boise State. I expect more of the same. Washington wins easy. Did I say Washington State? My apologies. Washington, the Huskies, win again easily. Austin P vs Tennessee. Milton looked pretty good. Like, I think I saw SEC Schultz, 80-yard pass. 80-yard pass. SEC Schultz, great trainer, by the way. But yeah, Tennessee, Joe Milton, cruise easy again to never win. Alright, first, never competitive game finally. Notre Dame, NC State. You know, Wolfpack looked a bit shaky on the road last week. Vernon Armstrong not that good, while Notre Dame's cruise to 2 wins, even though not against the great grade of opponents. Raleigh's going to be walking at Carter Finley. You know, Pack tough weeks to play, knocked off Clemson a few years ago, and Clemson was still good. And yeah, but Notre Dame, you know, Sam Howell looked all the parts so far. Looked amazing. You know, Marcus Sweet well for Notre Dame. It's gonna be tough. I think at confident. I think the Pack will be in it. NC State's gonna keep it very close, but Sam Hoffman, you know, I think is gonna still make some big plays for name. As I see Notre Dame squeezing past NC State in a close one. It's gonna be a fun watch. Right, Utah and Baylor. Utes obviously won pretty handily without Cam Wise. You know, I didn't watch the game because that's when I got my cable cut out. But from what I saw, looked pretty good against Florida. From what I mean, saw highlights. Baylor were probably one of the biggest shocks of the weekend, losing to Texas State. I think Waco definitely could give Utah a challenge. Like Baylor just looks so like Baylor. Like Utah I think should win these. So Utah's been pretty solid. Yeah, I'd play South been pretty good the past couple years. I see that they say, can you Baylor I think keep close to the April half, but Utes too much talent. Utah wins easy. Oregon, Texas Tech. Yeah, remember Texas Tech being like, oh, dark horse in the Big 12. Yeah, maybe not. You know, lost to Miami last week as Oregon against FCS. They would put up 81 points. That's still a lot of points. And yeah, Tech honestly using Miami last week. I do think this will be competitive. Tech honestly great underrated fan base in my opinion. Some great fans down there in Lubbock. But Oregon again, I think again like kind of like Baylor, Tech can keep it close for a half, but Oregon, you know, bodacious Bo Nix Heisman campaign, you know, good. I think Nix Bucky Owens just gonna be too much. I think Oregon's defense still could finally make some plays, you know, with Dan Lanningvale. Defense still improving. I know it's against FCS, so you know little things. I think Nick's Oregon offense too much for Texas Tech, as I see Oregon wins by at least 10. By at least 10 Oregon wins, I'm predicting. Alright, Grambling, LSU. LSU maybe looked like a complete fool. Thanks a lot, Brian Kelly. Yeah, last week thought they were gonna win. Had them win the championship. They still could, but yeah, doubtful. But nice bounce out game here for Jaden Daniels, LSU. Just second half was just ugly. Really didn't feel like their offense had any rhythm. You know, DBU got fucking torn to shreds last week in the secondary, which is a big concern thing here. You know, they get Mason Smith back on the D line, which should help generate some more pressure with Harold Perkins and Wingo. Yeah, but LSU, you know, disappointing last week, gets bounced back this week before they head into SEC play next week. Floyd K-State could be a sneaky good game for, you know, obviously I think won 10 games last year, I think, maybe 9. You know, but K-State as well. I know against FCS it still looked pretty solid. Didn't miss a beat in Manhattan. Yeah, Manhattan, Kansas, not New York. I think K-State wins pretty easily despite losing a lot of talent. Well, and we'll head over to UC Davis, Oregon State. Also, feel bad for Seattle if you haven't played Oregon State then USC the first couple of games. Like, you got patient, but damn, that was like tough. But yeah, Oregon State. So DJU not the problem at Clemson, as we found out. Looked pretty good last week against San Jose State. I think UC Davis FCS school. You know, I think the Beavs cruise pretty easily and hopefully can contend for the Pac-12. Because despite being an Oregon fan, like, it's fucked up, you know, realignment and shit. Like, it's so fucked up, I can't even, like, describe it. Feel bad for Oregon State and Wazoo down there, Washington State. But yeah, Oregon State wins easily. Rematch of a great game last year, App State, North Carolina, that shootout week 1. That was a fun game to watch. You know, App State, obviously, can they do it again? Upset Michigan 07. at the Big House. Upset A&M last year on College Station. North Carolina not ranked as highly as those two teams. But can they watch in to Chapel Hill and pull off the upset? Again, I think App State will keep it competitive, but I think Drake made way too much. It looked great last week against South Carolina. I think Drake May leads the Tar Heels to a win. Alright, SMU Oklahoma. ACC plays SEC basically. Oklahoma 73 nothing. That was a fucking embarrassing for Arkansas State. SMU, I think, yeah, like Oklahoma just too much talent. You know, Brett Venables looks like he might have righted the ship early on in year two. Saw some encouraging signs. As Oklahoma, I think, wins easily. Right, Wisconsin Washington State rematch of last year, where Wazoo pulled off the upset in Madison. You know, Wisconsin took a while to get going. You know, if the air raids saw a big run for a touchdown. You know, and I'm going up the upset here. You know, I was praising Luke Fickell in Wisconsin, but Cam Ward looked pretty good last week against Colorado State for the Cougars. You know, Wisconsin looked a bit slow. I think it's going to be a bit of a low-scoring affair, but I think Cam Ward, Washington State will make plays in Pullman. That looks going to be lucky. It's another underappreciated, underrated fan base. The Cougars give me Washington State to knock off Wisconsin's second year in a row. Another good game coming up. Ole Miss. I'm sorry, I just saw a comment on that a few weeks back, and I just have to comment now. Ole Miss Tulane. Former SEC rivals Tulane in the SEC back in the day, if you didn't know. Ole Miss again, big win last week. Tulane beat a good South Alabama team. You know, that could contend for the Sun Belt. It's gonna be the biggest home game in years for Tulane. I think that place is gonna be rocking. But I just don't. I just think like the talent, you know, I just think it's not enough. For Ole Miss I think will lose on the road. I know talent got you there, but yeah, I think Tulane has enough talent. Ole Miss, you know, a bit down. You know, quarterback still a bit of a question according to Lane Kiffin. You know, I don't trust Lane Kiffin in big games Evo. It's kind of like Texas thing. You know, I mean, Tulane knocked off USC, who I think is 10 times better than Ole Miss last year. I know it's not the exact same team, you know, but I think Tulane home field. I think Ole Miss is gonna be rocking. I think Ole Miss is gonna make some mistakes. Lane Kiffin particularly. And I think Tulane knocks off Ole Miss for the upset. Give me Tulane. Alright, off it. And Duke, how about the Blue Devils last week? We'll just pick Clemson after this, by the way, just because they're pretty similar games. But, geez, Riley Leonard, I said, hey, watch out for him last week. You know, looked pretty good in that win, you know. And then Clemson, man, like I said, we're doing Duke and Clemson right here. This game and this game just kind of combine them. But, man, Clemson looked bad last week. Like, so many miscues, so many, like, the offense just felt stale, like it didn't move at all. And yeah, I mean, so many mistakes, you know, like, that was one of the sloppiest games I ever played, you know. Sweeney obviously said something like, real this game. Like, that was just sloppy and bad football from Clay Klubnik and Clemson. But Duke, man, give him credit. Mike Elko, you know, building something special. They have Coach Kayla tiles. Duke becomes the football school, question mark. Regardless, great win by Duke last week. Clemson obviously needs to get right the ship. Duke and Clemson both cruise to easy wins this week. Right, Nebraska, Colorado. How about Dion last week, man? I fell in love with his son's arm as a quarterback. Like, he looks so good. Shadil Sanders, I believe is how you say it. Guy looked amazing. 5-10 yards, what was it? 4 tutties? 5 tutties? Something like that. Man, but Colorado's though. Travis Hunter looked amazing. Those are 1-2 in the highs right now, with Michael Penix close behind, if you ask me. Like, they were just so fun to watch. You know, defense had some issues, but they managed to get it done. Nebraskaville. How can Nebraska figure out a way to stop losing games like this? Lost again, another heartbreaker, up by a touchdown at 5 minutes left with the year to lose. It's like, oh, Matt, well, I had high hopes for you, but, I said they'd make a bowl game. I thought they'd win week 1. That was in the picture there, but still. So Boulder gonna be rocking this week. Best atmosphere in the nation this weekend. You know, I think Nebraska will be able to keep it competitive, but I think Dion Buffalo is just too much on offense. So Nebraska, you know, makes some plays like that. I think Colorado improves to 2-0 with some big games coming up. So Colorado wins at some big games coming up, going to Austin Stadium and the Ducks and playing the Trojans at home. Next, A&M Miami, and then we matched a level ugly game last year. Miami took steps against Miami. So I be confused, but the Hurricanes took steps in their Week 1 win over Miami, Ohio. Miami Cristobal year one at Oregon was like 8-4, I believe, or something like that. Year two they won the Rose Bowl. So can Miami make? But they had Justin Herbert, who's way better than Tyler Van Dyke or whoever Miami has in year two. So can Miami make a jump? But A&M offense looked pretty good last week with Jimbo and Petrino. I think this could be a close game, but I like Connor Wedgwood. I think he's gonna be very good for A&M. And Miami, man, just like she's. I'm not gonna call them the U until they like own it back. But I think A&M gets a safe win on the. Gets a close one on the road. Think the game. I think A&M wins in the score looks close up like it feels like A&M like is gonna win the whole game. So the recap, we got Georgia, Michigan, Bama, Florida State, Ohio State, USC, Penn State, Washington, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Utah, Oregon, LSU, Kansas State, Oregon State, UNC, Oklahoma, Washington State, Tulane, Duke, Colorado, A&M, and Clemson Inc. That's it for this week. Hope you all enjoyed them, and I'll catch you guys later. Later, guys.